Good morning, everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed that previous video of chopping up the intercooler and getting it prepared to make the end tanks. Today we're going to be building the end tanks. I'm really sorry, but I'm in a rush today. Just have a lot of stuff going on right now. And yeah, so I'm sure if you guys notice this video being a little rushed, that is why. I've already made the harder side of the end tank. This is what the one end tank looks like. It's kind of really simple. It's like a center feed style. So the inlet will be right here. We'll route the pipe up into this. Going to be using, kind of hard to tell, but it's going to be kind of a funky angle. It'll probably have some pie cuts in it. It's going to end up just being something over and up into this, right into the compressor housing. This V-band is going to get chopped off. Going to weld a piece of 3.5 inch tube right to the compressor housing. So this is where the intercooler is going to kind of chill. I've took some dimensions, and I'll talk about that later about the whole radiator stuff, but the other side of the core is going to be just like an angled piece that comes straight off the bottom here up to here and then flat, and then just the side pieces, and the 4-inch outlet will come from here and go up into the intake. Now time to explain the whole radiator setup. So I made a post yesterday. I had someone message me and said that they use 2 R1 radiators, so liter bike stuff, like they're aluminum radiators, and he uses 2 separate ones. They're on both sides of the car in the front corners, and he doesn't have any issues with it driving down the street. They just have nice fans on them. Doesn't have anything fancy. He does drive it on the street. No crazy ducting to it or anything like that. So it got me to thinking, I can fit a Sakura radiator, or whatever you want to call it, that VW radiator that everybody uses for stuff, right behind the intercooler. So I'm thinking right in behind here, and it can fit basically just at a very slight angle with a nice fan on it. And then I can use the lines and run them over to here, and I could get like a small R1 style radiator or something kind of similar size and put it over here. Also, what's going to go over there is my transcooler. The transcooler I'm not really too worried about. I don't have a transmission gauge. My transmission builder said don't worry about it. You're not ever going to get it hot if it has a nice fan. I probably should get a transmission temp gauge for it just in case, just so I can monitor it, but I'm going to put it over there as well, probably in front of that other radiator, and just use it just sandwich them together and just have a really nice fan on the backside of the radiator, or possibly mount it somewhere else. Not really too worried about the transmission cooler. I've had super baby ones on it before and never had issues with it. So over there in the corner, I'm thinking it'd be the best, because then the radiator fill cap could actually like sit up here, and it'd be the highest point in the system, and I could fill it from this radiator, just run from the thermostat housing to the bottom side of the Sakura radiator, and then go from the outlet of it up to the bottom of the R1 style radiator, or whatever small radiators over here. And then as it flows up, have it come to the, or vice versa, up or down, whatever, have the top go back over to the water pump side. Nice and simple, just like that. That, for simplicity's sake, saves me time and effort, because then I don't have to make a big swirl pot. I don't have to worry about anything like that and trying to find a swirl pot or where to put it. So that'd be super simple. And then also being able to buy stuff that's just off the shelf and already made makes that a lot easier for me, because then I don't have to order something custom and then like have to mount it, make end tanks and all that stuff. So that is the plan as of now. Might change, but I just thought I'd let you guys know because I did mention it in the video before.
We use everything. So our proposed intercooler,
check it out.
Really fascinating things right off the bat.
Just got done eating some A&W and watching Rob Dom's new video. Everybody was commenting to say, hey, go check it out. Sometimes follow his stuff, but I haven't been up to date on it, so I have missed this video. The little diagram, I haven't watched the second diagram yet. I'm actually going to pause it so I know what's going on. But his original diagram with how much pressure drop he had, you're talking, my intercooler's thick. I'm not going to have, like, having too much pressure drop inside the core from the turbo. I'm going to have issues with the back core heat soaking more compared to the front core. So the back side of the core is going to get as much ambient airflow through it to cool it. And so whatever air passes through that back side of the core will technically come out the other side hotter than what the front side will. Now, it probably doesn't really matter because this core is such overkill for what my car is. It's a 1500 horsepower rated core. They obviously will do more than that. Like CSF normally underrates their cores a little bit. Now, chopping it in half and doing what I did, causing it to be less efficient with the ambient air, like not being able to cool the backside of it as much, of course it probably won't support that much. But for what I want to do now, 1000 to 1300 horsepower, this core, I don't see it giving me any issues. Worst case scenario, a thing that some people do is they'll use an air-to-air core they'll weld basically end tanks onto the air-to-air part of it where the ambient air flows through and just make them water tanks. So worst case scenario, I can make this into a huge water-to-air if I ever have issues with it, which I don't think I'm gonna have any issues with it, but it's cool watching that end tank design. And yeah, based off my end tank design, like I don't have any walls like that, like what he has, but it's definitely something cool. And yeah, I did see a bunch of you guys comment about it, so I thought I'd watch it and let you guys know what I thought. Check it out. The end tanks look super tiny compared to the core, but they're pretty big. They're about like actually 3 inches off of the core, so they're not super big, but they're not small. It just looks really deceiving. This right here is a 5-inch by 5-inch square, so I'm going to be putting a piece of 4-inch here. I'm going to be finding my center, drilling the vent hole before I actually weld this. So what I actually do when I weld intercooler cores, also, before you look at this and be like, wow dude, you kind of suck at these. Yeah, I'm not the greatest. I'll be the first one to admit that I'm not the greatest at building end tanks. My strong suit is manifold stuff and other stuff. I still haven't really figured this out yet. I also don't have the tooling for it. But as you guys can kind of see, so this one, I have the outlet kind of more up than this one here. This one is more centered. I did this because it actually, honestly, what I probably should have done is made this one more lower. Would have been a little bit easier to do the charge pipe for the turbo. But on the inlet side, I like to center them as best as possible. And then here I couldn't really center it because it's so close to the tube front. So I had to bring it up a little bit to actually get that 4-inch up and out of it and away from it. A little side note here, it's kind of weird. Does anybody just have like some weird like pet peeve stuff that just like bothers the living shit out of you? So I told you guys earlier, or in the last video, I cut my aluminum with a circle saw, right? It flings aluminum chips everywhere. And a huge pet peeve of mine is like feeling metal shavings on the bottom of my shoes, like while I'm walking around, and then also in my shoes. So like, check it. I got aluminum shavings all over my shoes and in my socks. Like, it's been driving me nuts. So as you can see, well, it's kind of hard to tell, but you can see these like little chips are just everywhere. So I've actually cleaned up a bunch. Lucy keeps laying in it. I literally sweep a pile and Lucy just lays in it. Lucy's got a bunch of aluminum shavings all over her, huh, Luce? Because you don't want to lay in your bed. Even Jupiter's got some shavings on her. It's a weird pet peeve of mine. Metal shavings on the bottoms of my shoes or in my shoes or anything in my shoes. It just drives me nuts. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up all this metal shavings, use a vacuum, and then start welding on that core. Got both end tanks all welded up. I drilled these holes here in the middle just to help me set my little pilot hole for actually hole sawing them. So I tacked them to here while I welded them out, just so that way they didn't distort much. So, and then I just put 2 tacks, actually 3 tacks, one in the middle, one on the outsides, around on each side, so that way it didn't move. And then I cut them off to actually hole saw the holes where the intercooler piping is gonna go. Just so that way I don't get extra metal shavings inside this. While I have this out, I'm gonna go ahead and blow this out, and then before I actually put it on the car, I will go ahead and probably like run water through it forwards and backwards a couple times, just kind of flush anything else that's in there. Let it dry for a day or two, and then it'll be ready to actually like have something go through it. So, ow. Thought this might be kind of cool. So this thing, I believe this nozzle like regulates this down to like 30 psi. So it's enough to blow the paper, so I don't know. Like, it feels like quite a bit of air actually is able to pass through the core, so I guess we'll see later once the car's running driving. don't remember if I showed you guys what this looks like. Actually, like down low with it in the car. Really small, doesn't take up a lot of space. Like I said though, so I had a lot of people, well, not a lot, but I had some people asking me why I did this. Why didn't I just go across? Well, it's hard to find an 11-inch tall core, like a 10-inch tall core, that is good enough for like 1,000 some horsepower, 1,300 horsepower, and that's not too long. So this right now is 14 inches long on the core, plus the end tanks. And as you can see, I don't really have a whole lot more room. I ended up going with this core just to be overkill, and everything in this horsepower range was a really weird size. So I could have gotten like a smaller core that was like 700 horsepower core, but that probably wouldn't have been good enough. So I went ridiculous like this. Like I said, is it inefficient on the backside of the core where the ambient air is trying to go through? Yes. Is it gonna work? I don't know. It might. We're gonna find out. Now keep in mind too, of course, like cruising this thing on the street is probably gonna heat soak, which is fine because I don't really do roll racing or anything like that. The only thing I really care for it to not get hot is at the track. So I'll do a pass and then it'll cool off for a little bit, which should be fine. And then it will get cooled off during the run again. So it won't have time to actually like heat soak and have constant hot air being pushed through it. So that's my thought. I guess we'll see once we get on the dyno, we get the intake air temp, and we log some stuff. So what do you guys think though? It does look a little weird though. Like it does look kind of small. So, and then also you won't really see it because of the front nose that goes on this thing. It's gonna be like hidden right here. Got the 4 inches, it's gonna come off and up into the intake. Tomorrow I will run over to Kyle's. He's got some extra 3.5 inch from his van. Go buy that material from him. He's got some. The 4 inch I'm gonna have to wait on. I was actually wanted to get a new intake for the RX-7, but I'm actually gonna end up waiting. So yeah, hope you guys like this video. It might have been kind of boring, kind of short. You guys have seen me do this before. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'm gonna get out of here. It's late. Had all kinds of fun today, building some intercooler stuff for the RX-7. Learned some cool stuff today, watching Rob Dumb and whatnot. Always open to learning new stuff, right? So I don't exactly know what works. I know what's supposed to work, but I haven't done a lot of testing on stuff. That's why I like testing stuff and I like doing stuff myself just to see, right? Like if someone says, oh no, that doesn't work, it can't be done. I'm like, oh, well, let's try it and see if maybe they did something weird and that's why it didn't work. So that is my thought. I'm always open to learning something new. So thank you guys for recommending me watching that. It definitely puts into perspective. Like, I mean, I don't know. I would have never done a cross-flow intercooler like that because of issues just like that. So anyways, I'm gonna get out of here for tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, subscribe. Do the damn thing. Y'all are awesome. We'll see you guys in the next video. You go home, go for a ride? Here we go for a ride? Luce, come here. Luce, here we go for a ride? Luce, here we go for a ride? You wanna go home? Oh, oh, you want some foods? Oh, oh, poor baby. Oh, poor Lucy. One of them. Thank you. Other one. Thank you. That's both of them, but thank you. Lay down. Lay down. Good girl. You good girl. You're getting old, mama. You're getting old, huh? Yeah. All right, let's go home. Come on, let's go fry.